Welcome to the Damascus Encounter, where we share and talk about people's encounter with the Lord Jesus Christ. Now Jesus meets us in very many unusual ways, and it doesn't actually follow any particular form or script. He could meet you when you are young or when you are fully blown adult. Our guest on the program today is a pastor of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. He is the president of the Cross River Conference in Calabar, Nigeria. I have with me in the studio Pastor Edy Ewoh. Pastor Edy, welcome to the Damascus Encounter.
Thank you, sir.
It's good to have you on the show. You're a pastor, you're a president. Let's talk a little bit about your growing up, your Christian background as a young boy.
Wow, interesting. I grew up living in the barracks, in the streets, and in a Christian family,
Okay.
a regular Christian family. My mother was Catholic,
Okay,
my father a Presbyterian,
all right.
and then somehow between Catholic and Presbyterian, I settled for Presbyterian because that's where my father worships.
At times,
And he is not this very good church man, but you can see the military discipline, all around him. So a disciplinarian, but that will never break down a child who wants to be what he wants to be, So I took baptism with the Presbyterian Church as an infant, and growing up, I started having problems with the Christian religion because I got to read a couple of things that made me feel that Christianity was a scam, the infighting and all of that happening. So for me, church was a no.
Okay, these readings, were they from newspapers or books or the media?
Yeah. I became interested more of certain religions of the East.
Okay.
I had mentors like Lobs and Rampa, as it is, as it was, and a couple of other books that I have read. So that increased my interest for the mystical.
Okay.
So,
which naturally helped you to see some loopholes, and when you look at the infightings in Christianity.
Yes. That made me see the church as a big scam.
Okay.
So,
Okay, let's leave that for a while. We'll come back to that sometime later on. Let's talk a little bit about your educational background. Growing up, you had dreams, you had goals,
Exactly.
you had things you wanted to do. So
exactly.
tell me how.
I grew up a child thinking myself of a lawyer.
You wanted to study law.
I wanted to do law, yes. And somehow when I got into the secondary school, the whole idea about law shifted into mass communication.
Okay.
So mass communication, I wrote WAEC, and
That's the school certificate
the school
exam.
certificate exams, yes.
Okay.
I did not get exactly what would take me
Qualify
into
you
mass
for mass
communication, but I
communication.
needed to go to school. My father will not listen to you not talk about school. So
Okay.
I went in and I did education. So I did geography and integrated science, and I think that was it. So where I am seated today was never part of my dreams. It never
That is
crossed.
being a
No.
pastor.
No. That did not show up on the list, let alone that you talk about the list, you know. So,
And perhaps if you had also wanted to be a pastor, maybe your parents wouldn't have been well disposed to it?
I'm not sure. They would not, no, they wouldn't like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you grew up in the midst of how many children? Your
Oh,
family, your siblings?
that's another beautiful thing. In fact, my father married 2 wives, and in all, we are about 15. My mother had, I call it 8.5, maybe 8.5.
Okay. So
8.5.
the half meaning...
Yeah, we are 8 boys, 4 girls, and 1 who didn't make it.
Okay.
So that is the point.
Kind of miscarriage.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 15 of you in all. And so growing up, so your father, a military man, how was growing up 15 of you in the family?
Now, the interesting part is he was wise enough to not cluster all 15 plus 2 wives in one box at a time. So he takes us in, you know, a set of come, and then you go, and then the other comes, like that. But I, my group, you know, stayed with him the longest. You know? So if there was one child who met this man at the prime of his time, it was me, because I was quietly stubborn, you know, and his hand was really heavy on me. So if anybody would turn out good for a child, I think it should be me, because that man did not spare me an inch.
Okay.
You know.
Taught you a lot.
Oh, he kept my behind, you know.
Okay. So now, after all of this, you want to share a little bit about your university education and experience in the university?
Wow. It was beautiful that I did not make it through the University of Calabar. You know, yeah. When I completed my national certificate in education, you know, I went into the university to complete a BA.
Okay.
But, you know, young boy,
things happened,
and that would not work. So I had to choose either to leave or to stay, and you know, anything happens, you know.
Okay, so you want to talk a little bit about just an eye-opener on some of those things that happened? Things happened. What?
Yeah, you know, like I said, living in the street, you're just exposed to a whole lot of things, and schools, those days, as they are still, you have a lot of these groupings, these fraternities, you know. Well, as a growing young man, it was fun to just be part of it. Originally, it wasn't my intent, but I escaped a situation that I was almost mistaken for someone else, and the fright, the trauma, made me, you know, travel home to see my people for the last time, because I knew when I returned to school, I will not return as the usual me.
Okay.
You know? So I went home. I was not a Christian then. Those funny beliefs that I packed up from this Asian understanding, you know, or worldviews. So I thought maybe I could just go home, see my mother, see my siblings, go around, see my relatives, because I made up my mind that as I'm going back to school, it is either I live or I die. Should I end up dying, I should meet any of them in the dream and tell them something, like that. So I went home, saw them, and I returned to school. And the next thing was I had to join a bush party, and I got an initiation, and life became wild and
different
wild from that.
Yeah. So talking about this idea and this ideology of you going home, needing to join the group, and talking about fraternity.
Yes.
Somehow, was this some kind of quest or search for power?
Oh, exactly. I lived my whole child life looking for power.
Why did you feel that need and urge?
Yeah, I just needed. Now I can't understand, but that age, I am thinking that age leaves you with so much things that you think you need that you actually do not need. There was some kind of emptiness that you need,
To feel.
And that emptiness should come with something that is just away from the regular, just be powerful, and it was fun.
So did you at some point because sometimes I want to be a lawyer, either because I have an uncle who was a lawyer, or who is a lawyer, or I felt I needed to join the military because I had a cousin who was in the force, and then it probably inspired me. So this quest for power, this need to, have power, did it stem from some kind of influence around you?
Exactly, because there are people around who made a lot of difference. Now I would see that difference coming from a negative perspective. Okay, but those things were actually motivating. We had people around who had some kind of abilities that came from not just
them having power.
Those things are there. You can just command things, you can talk about things, you can influence things, you can just make things happen. The crave was just there.
I can relate, because at the end of the day, you just feel if somebody can do this, how it would be nice for me to do this also. Yeah, so we'll come back to talk about how this quest and drive, where it took you, and exactly what happened. Don't go away, we'll be back in a short while. Still the Damascus Encounter, and we have in the house today Pastor Edy Ewoh, who is the conference president of Cross Rivers Conference. He is with us on the show sharing his experience and how he encountered Jesus on the Damascus Encounter. Pastor Edy, welcome.
Thank you.
So, you had this quest and thirst, yearning for power. So, did you find it? Did you get power?
Yeah, it happened. We tried out, or I tried out a lot of things, and made contact with a lot of people who would, lead me, and that happened.
Okay.
It was as serious as, how do I put it? Let me say it this way. The devil is deceptive and has a shade of what you can call power.
Okay.
In a very, very massive,
manner.
It happened. It is today I understand that everything that happened in my past was also God's allowing, because today I see better, I understand better, and then the deception that I had wallowed in for a very long time is clearer today. I'll tell you this. I got really involved with the devil, you know. It was as involved as I can make an order from India and it is delivered in my room on my bed without anybody coming around.
By that you mean a purchase? Or
Yes.
okay.
There is a material you need to perform certain exercises, certain meditations, and then you make the order. And without a mailman, and you know, I was not even scared.
And it just appears.
It is delivered in the room on the bed.
Did you get to make payments?
Well, there were payments that you have to make, you know, sometime tangible.
No, by payment I was just talking about I need to get this. Will it cost some money, or because I need it, it just comes?
Money, simple. Address the envelope, file the money inside of this envelope, put it on the mailbox. That is all. But this product is delivered, and is delivered in the room on your bed. And it was just normal. It was just normal. But today, I see that as a very high degree of sorcery.
Must have been.
This is sorcery, but it was just an everyday thing, any day kind of thing. You just
It was
just
fun.
okay with it.
It aided the experiments you needed to engage in. And
oh, sure. The exercises, the meditations, you conduct them. You know, I had volumes of books that you read, and sometimes, you know, you have a book that is all written in Indian. You know.
Okay, and you're able to read and understand.
You will read it. You will understand it. You will run these meditations. You will do these exercises, and you know. I had the desire, because in the course of my practice, I was made to understand that I was going to develop to the point where I will become superhuman. Superhuman means that I will be transcended to the point where I live above just the human
the
realm.
Ordinary.
Yes. And I was working hard for it. When I became a Seventh-day Adventist, I discovered that that would have been my dying. Because when you die, you will not actually explain or ask anyone any question about what happened thereafter. But I was made to believe that by the year 2000, I should hit my prime and grow above human. I was working for it.
Okay.
But when I became Seventh-day Adventist, I discovered that was a lie. So I would have been dead, and there would be no me to confirm whether it happened that I become superhuman, you know.
Okay.
And from that moment, you see, this is 2021. I believe that for 21 years, I have been living a life that is not my own. Spare life. If I understand today that I would have been dead in 2000, then 2001 was just a free...
It was a bonus.
In fact, it's not my life, you know. So for 21 years, I have lived a life that is not my own. And that's why when I'm out to do anything, especially for the Master, I do not have anything to relent. I pour all out. Why? Because I don't even have the life. This one here is not my own. So
you're just giving back in appreciation, and you do anything
That's it.
for Jesus
That's it.
as the master. So, but you had this experience, university days, that experience that led to somehow the turnaround for you.
Okay.
And the encounter with the young man who had to leave university. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh, man. That was a really sad experience. I, back in school, you know, no God, life was just in the wild, you know. So okay, let me start with where the thing really struck hard. I became Seventh-day Adventist in 1998. And how did it all start? I was in a bar drinking, you know, with tobacco fumes everywhere. And then this young guy came in distributing flyers. Well, everyone around made jest of him. But for me, what brought this young man here? Because church people don't enter into these places. So what gave him the audacity to come in here? And for just entering, let me see what he has in his hand. I took that flyer. Well, I knew I was drunk, but let me keep this thing safe so that I can go back to it, because now there's actually nothing I can make out of this. So I folded it gently and put in my pocket. So later on, I went back to that paper: one God, one Bible, many churches, different doctrines. Why? So wow, okay, I need to get the why.
Yeah.
You know, then other things like how to postpone your funeral. Oh, okay, I'm interested. Angels flying in the midst of the air. I'm interested. So that was how those titles got me ready to attend that event. So the first night I was there, I was high, I was drunk, you know. So this group seemed a little more organized than the rowdy church thing. They provided seats. Well, I sat down. Now, there was a video that was played that night. I can't forget, but I can't really describe how or what video that was.
Because you were drunk?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, the video opened and somebody was smoking, and then the camera followed the smoke and his inhalation down into his lungs, and wow, a whole lot of things happened there. I knew already with the way I had treated my body, you know, my lungs were all gone. You know, at least I had been diagnosed of having emphysema. You know, so so in that video, I saw a whole lot. I told myself, no, if I need to come back here tomorrow, then I need to stay off anything that will not make me see clearly. Okay. So the following day I came, and the event was just, the program was just making sense, you know. So, as usual, when crusades come like that, you want to try them out on some things, but I saw that these people were just too innocent for the kind of things that we know and have seen, you know. So I decided to go with them with just questions about issues surrounding this Christian religion. And their perspective for me was more reasonable.
Okay.
You understand?
Made a lot of sense.
Yes, made sense. Because people take simple things and spiritualize them so that they make them look undiscoverable. But here, the innocence in explaining and opening up the Bible, for the first time in my life, I had to respect the Bible, because what I do with the Bible actually was to just yank out the pages of Psalms, the Proverbs, Songs of Solomon, cut them out, use them to smoke weed, So that was all the usefulness of the Bible to me. Smoke weed and every other thing to me is just a history of some peasant farmers, So what do I get from there? But the words of wisdom, at least I recognize the fact that the words of wisdom, because even other spiritual organizations understand the spirituality in the books of Solomon, Ecclesiastes, the Psalm, the Proverbs. So for me, okay, that's the only thing to pick there. Tear them all out, slice them and keep, wrap Indian hemp and smoke. So, but here, they kind of were making sense out of the Bible, So the next thing was, let me see what exactly these guys are about. So I started checking up on them. This news came that these guys are occult, and they're like, okay, if they're occult, then I should know. So I programmed myself, at odd times. I can just bump in at any time,
Okay, before we get to that, let's just, it's safe to say at this point that they made impression on you.
Oh, a great one.
Made a lot of sense. And something was beginning to change inside of you.
That's right.
At the same time. In a very gradual and steady manner.
Yes.
Okay, we'll come back and talk about that change on the next edition of our show on the Damascus Encounter. Thank you very much for being a part of the program. We'll come back and discuss some more on your experiences and how you actually encountered Jesus. That'll be it on the show for today. Pastor Edy Ewoh, President, Cross River Conference in Nigeria, will continue his story on the next edition of the Damascus Encounter. Thank you.